Maple City Chapel started in 1971 with a need, a God-sized dream, and a leap of faith. We started not as a church, but as Teen Haven, an outreach to youth in Goshen who didn't know Jesus. After these young people started following Jesus, they had a difficult time finding acceptance in local churches. Their appearance or background made it hard for them to fit in. That is why Maple City Chapel was birthed, so that people who wanted to know more about Jesus but had difficulty finding acceptance could find a place to belong and to become more like Jesus. The church started with 12 visionary members. A few of the earliest members still attend Maple City Chapel today. People like Don and Carol Miller, Irvin and Elma Bontrager, Larry and Ann Flora, and our founders, Pastor Mel and Edna Shetler. Under their leadership, our church became known for having a welcoming environment, practical teaching, contemporary worship, community outreach, and vibrant small groups. Through all of this, the church flourished over the next 30 years. In 2003, another need was presented, another God-sized dream, and another leap of faith. We were running out of space, and God opened the door for us to purchase the former Walmart Hollywood Connections building in which we currently meet. It seemed like a huge risk at the time, but looking back, the risky thing would have been not to follow God's leading. Around 350 people took a leap of faith and personally sacrificed so that the ministries of the church could expand in its new location. We continue to experience today the blessing of those who sacrificed in the past to make our relocation possible. Since 2003, our building has become a community center that regularly hosts various events and ministries in addition to our own church ministries. The bottom line is this: we love to see our building used to bless our community and impact lives for Jesus, not just on Sunday, but also Monday through Saturday. It's been awesome to see the way God has used our leap of faith and this facility to impact our church family and our wider community over the past 18 years.
My name's Roy Renfro, and I believe we've been going to Maple City almost 4 years now. It took a little time, because we were real gun shy. Everybody there seemed to have the heart of Jesus. It just keeps drawing you back, at least for us, for me. It didn't take long to want to be part of Maple City Chapel. When I first got diagnosed, it's hard for me to put into words how it may or may not have affected me. I mean, I knew it was serious stuff and all of this, and I was just really, I couldn't believe I want to go be with Jesus. I mean, but the hard part for me was, man, I know my family will be okay, but I was having a hard time dealing with having to, feeling like I was letting my wife down. Maple City, as far as coming alongside of me, you know how people just say, oh yeah, I'm praying for you. I can't even tell you the amount of people that would come to me that I don't even hardly know. There's a lot of people at Maple City would tell me and you could tell it was heartfelt, that they were praying for me, and I believed them, and I knew they were. And it was awesome, and that was comforting, because early on, my wife freaked out, man. She was like, God, why is this happening now? Everything was going good. And then she started to see God working and all this stuff. God has answered prayers so many times, unexpectedly, not just for us, but other people that we've prayed for. And God is able. He's able to do anything. I guess the acceptance there that you receive at Maple City is the best way I can explain it. It's just Christ-like.
I'm Brandy Schrock, and I've been going to Maple City for about 7 years. It wasn't just one thing. It was a whole combination of things that caught our attention, and I didn't feel awkward or out of place, and that really is huge. I left there, I felt good, like, hey, let's do this again. This is good. Well, I'm going on 6 years sober. When I had stopped drinking, I got incredibly lonely. I had to change everything about my life. I would always get really upset, like, I don't have any friends, and we started attending Maple City, and that's where I started to make friends. Not acquaintances, but real friends. We got into a small group, and it had such a vast ages, and everybody's in a different stage of their life, and it came together, and that's what really tied us in when we first came, was our small group. If it wasn't for my church family and being so open, even with my past, my journey probably wouldn't have been as easy for me as it has been. I feel like there's always somebody who doesn't know God, who didn't grow up knowing God, is unchurched, and is looking for some place, kind of like I was looking for, a place to call home, for a community to stand behind them, to lift them up. There's always room for that, I think. People who have gotten away from it, who's looking to come back, and if we always have open seats, then there's always some place for them to go.
My name is Sue Morris. I heard about Maple City first from a girl I used to work with, and then I started watching online, trying to find the right church. I kept praying that God would lead me to the right church, and when I seen Hannah and the worship team sing, I just fell in love with her voice and the worship team, and so I kept watching, and then I really got to know Joe and Jay, and I just love it. And they act like they really care and treat you like you're really a person and want you to grow more into God, and I can just feel myself every week. When they told me I had cancer, it's like, wow, God has hit me hard now. I have got to get back going to church and learning more, and that's how I got started again, and just trying my hardest to figure it all out and praise Him and worship Him, and He's always been there. And like my sisters would tell me, He's calling you, because I'd call and tell my sisters, this happened, it had to be God doing it. And they would say, well, He's calling you, He's wanting you to come back. And finally, He got through to me. It's a tough way, but He got through to me, and I'm back. I ain't leaving no more. Every time I have a problem or go through a tough time, I pray really hard, and it just works out. I don't know why. I still to this day don't understand why He's beside me, but I feel like He's right beside me now. And I don't know why. It's just like I feel like I don't deserve it, but for some reason He's there. He's got me through when they told me I had cancer. They give me 3 to 8 months to live. Next month it'll be a year. And it's like my my lab work keeps coming back good. I don't understand it because it's a killing cancer. It's not one they can cure. But He's kept me going. I wake up every morning and just thank God. I tell Him every morning, thank you for another day.
This year, we celebrate our 50th birthday as a church. Since we moved into this building in 2003, we have tripled in size, and we have heard hundreds of stories as of marriages saved, addictions broken, faith restored, and lives transformed. But the need is still great. Research shows that more than 135,000 people in our surrounding community are not connected to a church. And we are once again running out of space in our auditorium and in our parking lot. When more than 80% of seats are filled, visitors are less likely to return. We've recently observed people pulling into the parking lot and then leaving because it's hard to find a parking space. The last thing we want is for our neighbors, coworkers, classmates, or family members to miss an opportunity to experience a growing relationship with Jesus simply because we don't have adequate space for them. There is clearly a need, and we believe it's time for another God-sized dream and another leap of faith. In response to this need, our vision is to remodel and expand our auditorium. We also plan to add additional parking in the back of the facility to accommodate the increased seating in the auditorium. The auditorium is one of the last spaces still unrenovated since we purchased this building. It used to be a roller skating rink, and if you look closely, you can still see the shape of the rink and the black lights and strobe lights on the ceiling. While an oval is ideal for skating, it's terrible for acoustics. The planned renovations will eliminate the disconnectedness between the main auditorium and the overflow area, and improve the quality of our overall worship experience for both our in-person and online participants. The improvements will double the seating capacity of the auditorium, allowing us to reach more of our friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors. Most churches don't want empty chairs, but right now we need more empty chairs because each vacant seat represents one more person who could experience a life-changing relationship with Jesus. To make this God-sized dream a reality, we're launching a 3-year initiative simply called One. As a part of this initiative, our leadership team is asking for 2 sacrificial commitments from each one of you. First, we're asking you to identify one person in your life who needs to know the love of Jesus. We call this person your one. The religious people in Jesus' day got upset with him for hanging out with sinners. Jesus responded by telling a parable about a lost sheep. He asked them this question: if you had 100 sheep and one of them got lost, won't you leave the 99 others to go and search for the one that is lost? Jesus goes on to describe the joyful celebration that happens in heaven when one lost child of God comes home. If God's heart is for the one, shouldn't our hearts be as well? The first goal of this initiative is for every individual in our church family to have at least one. We're asking you to commit to pray for your one, spend time with your one, invest in your one's life as a friend, and when the time is right, introduce them to Jesus. The second big commitment is this: we're asking you to give sacrificially toward the vision of increasing the intimacy of our auditorium, increasing our seating, and adding more parking. We want to ensure that there is room for your one when you bring him or her with you to church. Our goal is to raise $1.5 million over the next 3 years. While the amount given by each person will vary, we are asking everyone in our church family to give sacrificially. The goal is equal sacrifice, not equal gifts. Your commitment should start with prayer. Begin by simply asking God to give you a specific amount that He wants you to give, and then trust that He will provide. This special gift should be above and beyond your normal giving so that the ongoing ministries of the church can continue. In 2016, we completed a similar campaign to renovate our children's space. It seemed nearly impossible at the time, but God provided in ways we could not even imagine. Over the past 50 years, many people have sacrificed through gifts of time and money so that God could use Maple City Chapel to impact our community for Christ. I believe with all my heart that this is one of those defining moments for us as a church family. Just like the decision 18 years ago to purchase this building, and the decision 50 years ago to start an outreach to youth and launch a new church. There are lost and hurting people all around us, in our neighborhoods, our kids' extracurricular events, our schools, and our places of work. There is no doubt that the need is great. The question is, what is God asking us to sacrifice for just one more? Our response will determine our legacy over the next 50 years. Together, we can do this. There's another need. We have another dream. Will you join me in another leap of faith?